and he's a sweet talker. Yeah, and so are a lot of your exes, which is why you're on Love is Blind. That never stopped you then, but you want to stop her now?
Guilty, guilty, guilty.
I want that. I want that. I want that.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Leah, and I'm back at it again with another video. If you're new to my channel, hey girl, hey. My name is Leah. I make videos, story times, hauls. I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, so it's like for the kids, you know the vibes. And for a returning subscriber, hey friend, how are you? I hope you're doing wonderful, fabulous, beautiful, amazing. Before we get started, if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because subscribing is free and it helps your girl out, and so does liking the video. Liking the video helps me a lot. It helps me get into the algorithm. It helps other people just like you see my content. So, you know, if you have a little second, give your girl a like. Thank you. And if you are a returning subscriber, hey friend, I love you. Thank you guys so much for stopping by again and again and again. All that. So today's video is going to be a Love is Blind review. So we're going to be reviewing the first few episodes that Netflix dropped for season 7 of Love is Blind DC. I feel like every season Love is Blind says that, you know, like we have all these singles and they're here to find love and they're here to find a lifelong partner. And it's always the same bunch of people who are very obviously not ready to be in a relationship. From first glance, they're not ready to be with anyone. So let's get into it. I'm going to do this by couple because I feel like that's the easiest way to do this. And I'm going to do this by the people who are the least interesting to the most interesting to me based on their storyline, you know, what they present themselves as and what we're starting to discover through social media and as the show goes on. So the first couple we're going to talk about is Marissa and Ramses, I think his name is. I'm not going to lie. I skipped most of their scenes. I don't know a damn thing about them. I don't know anything about what they talked about in the pods. The only thing I know is that Marissa is an Aries. Dear God, she does not represent us well. And Ramses is a Cancer Leo or something like that. Like, that's the only scene that I saw. And I stopped on that scene by accident. The reason I kept watching it is because I remembered seeing glimpses of Melissa talking to another guy whose name was Bowden. And she was kind of just like choosing between Bowden and Ramses. And she kind of just said like both of them were on the same, you know, playing field for her. And no one of them was stronger than the other in her opinion. And then I remember the scene where she was talking to Ramses in the pods. And she was like, yeah, what's your sign? And they were talking about astrology and stuff like that. And he told her that he was a Cancer Leo or whatever the hell. And the way she reacted by this news. You've been talking to this guy for, let's say Love is Blind runs 3 weeks in the pods. You've been talking to him for this long. And what made you come to the realization that this is the love of your life, your future husband, the father of your kids, is his astrological sign? Huh? Now, don't get me wrong. I like astrology. I think it's interesting. I think some of it is like very convincing in a way. I don't think it's the end all be all, and I definitely don't go around my life judging people based on their astrological sign. Like, I think that's just silly. However, I don't understand why this is what made her choose him. Like, I don't get it. And it was so quick too. As soon as he said that, she was like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna break off things with Bowden. I thought she was just joking. No, my sister was dead ass. I said, wow. Marissa, she does not play. She gets down when it comes to the sign thing. So I was like, oh, okay, like, I guess. And then they meet each other and they're all huggy, kissy and all of that. And he's like thanking her for allowing him to be himself. And, you know, like, men get judged and all of these things. And I agree with him. And it's nice that he can be himself around Marissa. I do think the two of them are very quirky. They're very unique. And that's not a bad thing. But it's just like, you can tell that this is a seemingly artificial relationship. Like, their whole relationship is built off the basis of just a lot of sex. And while that's fine, I can't remember a significant conversation that they've had outside of the pods, of course. I can't remember not one. And it's just like, even when they got to Mexico and they started, you know, hanging out in person and stuff like that, literally all they could talk about was sex. And it was just like, bro, what is this adding to the show? What value is this adding? So next we're going to talk about Garrett and Taylor, I think. I don't really have much to say about these two. I like Taylor a lot. I think she reminds me of myself in a few certain ways. Number one, she's a biology babe, which I love women in STEM. I get Taylor a lot and I like her as a person. Garrett, not so much. One of the things that stuck out to me about Garrett is that I feel like he's definitely not ready to be someone's husband. Every time he got into pods with Taylor, especially for the first few conversations, he was just saying, like, I've really led a life where I prioritized work and I never really had time for a girlfriend. I never had time to facilitate and grow a really long lasting relationship. And when he said that, I thought to myself,
Paul, why is you here?
why are you here? I genuinely don't understand the people who come into Love is Blind knowing that they are not built for even a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Yet they come to Love is Blind to find a wife or a husband. What's that about? You didn't even try. You just skipped right past girlfriend and went right into wife. You knew you didn't have time. You knew you prioritized your work. And yet here you are, trying to make a woman miserable. I just don't understand. I feel like this is the same thing that happened with Clay and AD last season of Love is Blind. All things aside with Clay's personality and like the way he treated AD, and it was clear that he was not attracted to her and stuff like that. I think that one of the things that were prevalent in their relationship is that he had a huge problem with work. He did not know how to balance work in his life, and that was an issue for AD because she was creating all these dates and these intimate moments where they can spend time with each other and be in the real world and see how their two lives interact. And he was just never around because he was working so much. And my question in that situation was, you didn't think this through before you came onto the show and decided you wanted to be committed to someone for life? You didn't think that maybe I need to figure out how I need to balance work in my personal life before I bring a woman into this who needs attention, who needs love, who needs nurturing, who needs quality time? You didn't think this through? I feel like that's such a red flag for me. But nonetheless, he's talking to Taylor and he's like, yeah, I do this and I do that. And the two of them do have a lot in common, which I think is great. But the other thing about Garrett that made me wonder whether or not he was a good fit for Taylor or just like anyone, is when he said that he thinks that her not saying what her race is a red flag. Every season of Love is Blind, we get these people who seem to miss the fact that the show is called Love is Blind. It's not called Love is Nearsighted. It's not called Love is Farsighted. It's not called Love got a little blurry vision. Love is blind. As in, you can't see the other person and you can't know anything about them. You have no idea what they look like and you're just going off of personality, commonalities, morals, all the things that we value in our lives. So the fact that Taylor said, I don't want to tell you my grandmother's name because I feel like that will tell you a lot about my race. And he was taken aback by it. He was just like,
well, I feel like you're very guarded, and I feel like, you not telling me your grandmother's name because your race is
she's literally not being guarded. She's telling you she doesn't want to tell you something because it's going to miss the whole concept of the show, and you are taking that as her being guarded. I feel like this was the most simple thing anyone could have said. I don't get what about that was guarded, but go off. And I like how Taylor handled it. I like that she stood her ground and she was like, you know what? Like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm just telling you that I really want to give this experience and this experiment the full 100% and try to go into it without telling, someone what I look like. And, Garrett was like, I've mostly dated white women, to be completely transparent, but, I'm open to dating people from other races. That's wonderful because that's what you're getting. Yeah. And you should be open to getting anything when you go on a show like this. Like, come on now, please. But I will say, though, that I really liked how he asked her to be his girlfriend with the sunflowers, because it did show that although he has some red flags, he is very attentive to like details. And he does pay attention to the things that she says. So I really like that. I thought that it was very cute. And also with Taylor too, I want to say that I am nervous for her that she will try to succumb to a lot of Garrett's needs and fall back on who she is. I think sometimes an issue that we face in life, not even on these shows as women, is that sometimes we want to dim our light in order to attend to a man's needs. So when he feels small because you shine so bright, you tend to dim your own light. And I feel like that's something I find that Taylor might do because of Garrett. Like, some of the things that he was saying, she was just so quick to be like, no, but I would be open to that. Like, I remember when they were talking about kids and she said that she wanted to have kids in like, I think like 3 to 7 years or something like that. And he said, well, I kind of want to have kids early. And she was like, no, well, I'm open to that. And it's just like, I'm sure she is, but she was so eager to tell him like, no, you don't have to. Yeah. Okay, I'm so sorry. I really don't even know why, but my light turned off randomly, which has never happened before. But like I was saying, I feel like my issue and my worry for Taylor is that she will be so consumed with wanting to be the perfect option for him that she will just agree to the things that he wants. And I just don't want that for her. And I don't want that for any woman, honestly, or any man for that matter. I feel like you should be able to stand your ground and like stick to what you want without saying like, well, he wants this and I'm just gonna agree. So, I mean, I wish them the best. And yeah. Who is next? Okay. Ashley and Tyler. I really like Ashley and Tyler. I can't have nothing. I can't have nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Are you surprised? Why is that so, why is that so mind-blowing?
I can't have anything, bro. Like, literally, I liked Ashley and Tyler so much. I felt like they were a perfect fit for each other. They just go so well. They just give me mom and dad vibes. Like, the couple that you see going into this and just, like, falling in love and building a beautiful life. Like, they gave me, like, Bliss and Zach type of vibes, like Lauren and Cam type of vibes. And, now that we're learning some things about Mr. Tyler, it's just very upsetting. Upsetting, but not shocking. And I don't know what's next. I would leave. Because let me tell you what that tells me about you. You are a petty, a sassy, and a spiteful man. Okay? And I don't want none of that anywhere around me. He didn't say, I bought the shirt because I really liked it, and despite her not liking it, like, it doesn't matter, I really liked it, so I bought it anyway. He said he bought the shirt just to spite her. Why? Why are you purposely trying to spite your girlfriend? I literally wrote this in my notes as a huge red flag. I was like, there's no way he thinks this is absolutely normal. So he continues to talk, and, despite me having this opinion of him already in the back of my head, I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see where this goes, right? It just only keeps getting worse. So he gets into the pods, and then him and Alex, they start to get to know each other, and at first he seems like, you know what, maybe he's not so bad, maybe he's just like annoying, but maybe he's not so bad. But then he keeps talking about his deceased sisters, and I'm going to handle this with grace and care, but I'm also going to be honest about it. I feel like while I sympathize with him, and I know that losing someone so close to you, like a family member, losing two of them in such a short amount of time is nothing but tiresome and heartbreaking. It's everything you can ever imagine in the worst possible way. I feel like there's a time and a place for everything. In these situations, when you're in an experiment like this and the end goal is for you to get married to someone that you've known in literally 24 hours to 3 weeks, you have to be vulnerable. You have to pull all your skeletons out the closet and tell them everything about yourself so that you know that they're willing to accept you for who you are, bones and all. I completely understand that, and I agree with the concept. However, I don't think that it's necessary to keep talking about something so traumatic. And I know that, it's a show. So the producers and the editors, they take things out and they paint the picture in a certain way to make people look a certain type of way or to build a storyline. So I'm sure that they weren't talking about this all the time. However, to the viewer, to me, all I saw was Tim talking about his deceased sisters. And I know it's rough, and I know it's traumatic, and I know he wants to put his heart on his sleeve and show Alexa, like, I'm still going through this. This hurt me and my family. This shaped who I am today as a man. But it kind of felt like he was constantly trauma dumping on the girl. Like, he would not even give her a second. It was never giggles and haha and hee-hees. She was constantly crying in them pods because he would tell him every terrible thing about his life. That is emotionally draining and taxing. I've never seen anything like this in Love is Blind, and I was just like, I'm not sure I would be okay with that. Tell me about everything that's gone on with you, and I will sympathize with you, and I will hug you, and I will console you, and I will help you through your grief. But for me to just meet you and you and I to decide whether or not we would be a good husband and wife pairing, and all you can talk about is this, it's rough. It's rough. Because I know that from her point of view, she must, want to be there for him. But then it's also like, well, I also want to talk about my favorite color. And I also want to talk about my dog's name and the things that I like to do in school when I was younger and all my college memories. And it's just you're constantly being slammed with grief every single time you talk to this man that you are getting to know and that you're falling in love with. It's a tough one. But I just feel like it was too much, honestly. And what really took it over the edge for me was him giving Alexa his deceased sister's bracelet. Number one, you just met her, so maybe not. Give her a family relic. And number two, it's just too much. It's too much. You could have got her a bracelet from K Jewelers. You could have got her a bracelet from Claire's. Primark even. It didn't have to be your sister's bracelet. And I understand the symbolism of it, but I just felt like it was very heavy. And it kind of felt like love bombing a little bit. The other thing that makes me say what I say is that when they got out of the pods, number one, I loved his reaction to Alex, and I loved him saying, like, I knew he was gonna be fine. Like, okay, Tim, yeah, okay, you ate that one thing. I felt like when they met each other, I didn't like that she had to put her own ring on. What the hell was that about? Everybody else got down on their knees. Tim said, not me. I don't know if he got a bum leg, a broken knee, because I know he was in the military, but he didn't get down on his knees. He didn't even put the ring on her finger. My girl had to put the ring on her own finger. I said, wow. Immediately, no. That's not gonna do. Absolutely not. Like, no. And then they sit down and they get to talking and, oh my God, like, I'm so nervous and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, oh, you have a nose ring? She's like, yeah, I have a nose ring. He's like, oh, you didn't tell me you have a nose ring. And she's like, oh, like, is it okay? He's like, yeah, no, I love the nose ring. Then he, of course, goes, my sister had a nose ring. She's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And she's like, yeah, well, I got this. He's like, yeah, but he said, my sister hasn't had a nose ring. And he was like, oh, funny story. My dad got really mad when she got the nose ring. And Alex is like, oh, that's crazy. Like, I got my nose ring when I was 18. And he was like, yeah, my sister got hers when she was 18 too. Do y'all see where I'm coming from? Am I being incredibly insensitive right now? Or do you guys see where I'm coming from? Because this is just entirely too much. Like, I understand, but at the same time, it comes to a point we have to reel it in and know when to talk about this. Because not every time is the time. Okay? And the other thing I noticed is when they got to Mexico, let me slow down a little bit. At the reveal and everything, when they sat down and, after they talked about the nose ring situation, he kept making a comment about the, like, that's my dog. And Alex was like, ha 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 ha, like, that's annoying, ha ha. But she's laughing, like, genuinely laughing. I just watched this scene earlier again to make sure I wasn't tripping. But she was laughing through the whole thing, and it was like a genuine laugh. It was like, bro, you play too much, like, stop. Like, that's annoying, but I'm still laughing because, you my man, whatever. But it didn't give forced. It gave, like, she was genuinely like, you being mad, annoying right now, whatever. You know what I mean? That type of vibe. But when she was like, all right, you have one more time, like, don't say it again, like, he literally looked her in her eye and said it again. And every time she said, okay, like, that's enough, immediately after that, he would say it again. And you know what you call that? You call that an antagonizer and a gaslighter. And I'm so tired of everyone trying to act like that's not what Tim is. Everyone is painting Alex to be this mean girl when they're not acknowledging how annoying Tim is coming off. He's coming off very annoying. And he's coming off like he doesn't respect her boundaries. I'm the type of person that understands and I respect people's boundaries, and I feel like everybody in your life should do the same thing. But the fact is, Tim wasn't doing that to be childish and cutesy bootsy. He was doing that to annoy her. And you know how I knew he was doing that to annoy her? Because later on, when the girls pulled all the guys aside, when it was Tim's turn to be questioned about what he liked about Alex and why he loves her and why he chose her to be his wife, you know what the man said? I'm gonna pull it up because I took a note today. He said, I love that she ain't scared. If I push, don't be scared to push back. I love it. My homegirls asked you why you love me, and this is what you got for them. You love that when you gaslight and antagonize and push me, I'm not scared to push back. Now, I have a question and answer quickly. Why do you want to push me? Why do you want to see how much I can take? Do y'all see what I'm saying? Do y'all see where I'm coming from? Tim is antagonizing and gaslighting this woman. He wants to see how much of it she can handle before she breaks. And when she does break, she's going to seem like the villain, like she already has. I feel like I don't get why everyone is saying Alex is such a mean girl. Like, I literally watched this thing. Every scene they had today, I don't see it. I don't see it. And he also said earlier in the pods, he was like, oh yeah, my mom always said I need somebody who's tough. Like, I need somebody who's going to be able to handle me. What exactly did he say? In episode 3, he said that his mom said that he needs a strong-willed woman who will bite back. Am I bugging? Am I tripping to think that Tim is a gaslighter, and the reason why Alex behaves the way she behaves is because he's continuously trying to push her? Is it me? Am I the drama for noticing this?
I also want to make it clear that I don't think that Alex putting her hand on him, even in the capacity of just covering his mouth, was acceptable. You just met this man. There's no reason why you should be putting your hands on him, making him uncomfortable, even if he did something super annoying or something to piss you off or you were in a bad mood. There was absolutely no reason for that. So in that sense, I totally understand what everyone else is saying about her, and I can see why he's uncomfortable now. So I just want to make it clear that I do not think Alex is a perfect angel. She has been wrong. I'm just saying, so has Tim. So let's use 2 of our fingers to point. Thank you.
And last but not least, we have Hannah Banana, Brit, and Leo. Okay. Let's start off with why Hannah thought that at 26 she should quit her high-paying job to get on Love is Blind. At 26, you quit your high-paying job to get on Love is Blind to find a husband. You didn't even try. If you genuinely got on this show to find a husband and you found out the only solution was to quit your job because they were not going to tolerate you being on the show, I fear for you. Okay, you have a lot to learn, mama. You definitely. And honestly, I'm going to say this. I hope I don't sound crazy. If I do, I don't think that Hannah got on this show to find love. I think she got on the show to be famous from it. I think she got on the show for clout. I think she got on the show to be an influencer. Yeah. Because it just doesn't make any logical sense that at 26 you quit your job to find a husband. And I can tell that Hannah has some insecurity issues because, you know, she's gained a considerable amount of weight. You know, she says that multiple times. And she's nervous about the way she will be perceived by men because they judge her and all of this. She said it. We know it's true. So it does make sense that she would go on a show where someone doesn't have to see you in order to think about whether or not you would make a good lifelong partner. But at the same time, it's just not adding up. Something about this is just not giving. This is authentic from Hannah. Like, she really just wanted a husband that bad. Like, she was that pressed for a husband. It just never gave. I'm sorry. But I did like her at the very beginning. I thought she was extremely funny. I think she just says what's on her mind. I liked her little cutesy outfits. Like, I did like Hannah a lot at the start. The red flag started red flagging when she was talking to Nick and also Leo at the same time, who we're gonna get to. But my problem with Hannah was that she did a lot of projecting. So a lot of her insecurities around her body weight image and all of that, she projected it on the men that she was speaking to, specifically onto Nick, who all the women said were like charming and suave and all of this. I didn't see it. Maybe it's because I did some skipping, but I didn't see Nick being that, honestly. I just felt like he was just being himself, and he just had a big personality. I mean, it is what it is. But so many of the women were saying, like, you know, like, he's gonna be a player, like, do not trust him, like, girl, that's not your husband, blah blah blah. And these are women that you just met, mind you, women who are in the same situation that you're in. They don't know what he looks like. They're not sitting in on your conversations. They don't know whether or not this is a real genuine bond. Why are you letting them play in your ear about this man? Huh? Like, I get it. If he was like a screaming red flag and it was just like, girl, like, don't even, you know, he's a misogynist, like, he's sexist, he's saying these crazy things, like, blah, blah, blah. If he was a shake from those few seasons ago, I would understand that. But the only thing they have to say about Nick is that he's suave and he's a sweet talker. Yeah, and so are a lot of your exes, which is why you're on Love is Blind. That never stopped you then, but you want to stop her now?
Guilty.
It just doesn't make no sense to me, and I really didn't respect it. But that's just my personal opinion on the Hannah and Nick situation. But moving forward in their relationship, I don't like how she kind of projected on him and was like, oh yeah, well, the girls say this about me. And he did catch that really quickly. He was like, okay, so you feel this way about me because of what the other women are saying? Like, you can't form your own opinion about me? You better cluck that tea, Nick, immediately. And then after that, the whole situation with Leo, I knew that she was never going to be Leo's type. Like, if she ended up choosing Leo, I think that he would make her feel a lot more insecure than she was already. I think that Leo thinks that because he has all this money, Mr. Moneybags, who we're going to get to, he's used to a certain type of woman flocking to him specifically because of his money, which is so funny. It's so funny that a man who literally said multiple times that his biggest fear is women taking advantage of him because of his money will not stop talking about how much money he has. Literally will not stop. To the point where he's asking people if they're cool with a prenup. I thought you didn't want us to care about your money, honey. And then we have Brittany, who was very clear that she was here for the manyan. And the manyan only, okay? She said, I'm used to dating ballers. Okay, I'm used to dating people with a big bag. Not a small one, but a big bag. And just so you know, I'm not here for that 50-50 shit. None of that. Brittany was very clear from the beginning. And you know what? I kind of respect it. I love a woman who stands her ground and says, this is what I want, and I'm not going for none of that other shit. Like, I don't know. I gotta respect it a little bit. Yeah. Brittany wasn't going for none of that. And it's just so funny to me that she was very clear about this not going 50-50 thing. And Leo was just like not alarmed by it. He didn't think that she would be a gold digger or anything like that. But it's just not adding up, brother. It's just not adding up. And I really didn't like the scene where Hannah was like, you know what, I'm going to choose Nick. And he basically had a mental breakdown and tried to say like, what, is this final? Is this solidified? Like, I was still thinking about it. I was, oh my God, like, Hannah, I will do this for you. I love you. And it was just like, he was literally yelling at her. Okay, and he was having a mental breakdown in there. And then went back into the men's quarters to try to act like she was the one having a mental breakdown. Brother, I hate delusion on a man. Now Hannah is with Nick and she's just horrible to him. And it's just so funny how much people can be hypocrites, because the same woman who was telling us how she didn't want to be judged by her appearance and men always do this and men always do that is the same woman who looked at Nick and said, well, that's not what I thought he was going to look like. And I thought he was going to be taller and have a bigger build. And he portrayed himself to look a different type of way. She said this because he said he was a football player. He said he was a kicker. If you've ever watched football, you know that they are the smallest one on the team typically. And they're kind of lanky. Like, kickers are never stocky. They're never built like a linebacker, a running back. None of these people. He said he was a kicker. I thought you was a cheerleader, mama. You never learned the positions? He didn't lie to you. You made up your own delusions in your head. The whole thing with the ducks, like, I didn't think it was that serious. I thought the man was just riding on his ducks, like, having a good time. It was a short-ass clip. I do not think Nick is childish. I think he's just himself. I think Tim gives me more childish vibes than Nick, honestly. Like, the whole continuing to gaslight someone when they said they don't like something, I don't see Nick doing that, but I do see Tim doing that. And that's what bothers me about the situation. But, like, y'all can let me know how y'all feel about the two of them and which one is quote-unquote worse, or which one you would stray away from and why in the comments down below. You know what's so funny? As I was talking about Nick, I just remembered I missed a couple. Wow. So there is Monica and what's that man name? Oh God, Stefan. Yes, Stefan. Monica and Stefan. So I don't really have much to say about them. I do think Monica is interesting. She's definitely not one of my favorite women on this cast. No shade, Monica. It's just like I feel like she's extremely mean to him. I don't think she's attracted to him like she says she is. I think she thinks he's cute. But I think the fact that he works like a regular job and he's not big corporate, big tech, big finance, like I think that really turns her off. She's so used to these types of men that she is having a hard time dealing with the type of occupation that he's now. Like he's so humble, down to earth that it's like for her. And you can tell. A red flag with me with Monica was just the way she was like talking about like her exes and how she did. Was that her or was that Marissa, who had dated a Republican who voted for Trump? I don't know. Someone had dated someone and they were like, oh, Steven had said he voted for Trump and he was like, yeah, well, you know, I voted because of this and that, and in the second election I made a better decision and blah 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 blah. And it's just like Monica didn't really stand on anything. Like she just didn't have a stance on how she felt about things. And I'm a strong believer in like if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So it was just like she was just so willing to just like be like, oh yeah, well it's fine. And then when they were talking about race, Oluwa Stevens says, oh yeah, he found out he was 3/5 of African descent, Nigerian and Ghanaian. Stephen, it was just such a weird thing, okay, to hear someone say. And it's like, yeah, that's an interesting story. Your grandmother lied to you and she told you that your grandfather was white when he was indeed like a black man. I think that's interesting, but at the same time, it's like the way it seemed was just like he was like biracial. And I don't know. I don't know. But what bothered me even more is when Monica was like, yeah, well, you know, I can relate to that because my mom is Portuguese and my dad is African American. Oh, Peruvian, and my dad is African American. And, you know, when I grew up, I was going through the sheet and I didn't know which race to check. This woman? This one? Didn't know which race to check? Be for real. Like, there comes to a point where you have to start being dead ass with yourself. You didn't know what race you were growing up. Then Steven opens up his mouth and was like, damn girl, you really are a mutt. Y'all will really tolerate anything in the name of a ring, and I hate that for you. And the last thing is the scene where they were in Mexico and they were after the pool party. You could tell they were both drunk. Monica and Steven are in the room talking, and Steven is talking and talking and talking, and Monica is like, babe, like, you haven't let me talk. Like, you really need to let me talk. So he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I felt so bad for him because he looked hurt. He looked so hurt. And then after that, like, she was like, she's eating her nachos. Girl, I thought you had something to say. I just feel like Monica's mean to him. Like, I don't like that. I think Monica's mean to him. I think Hannah's mean to, what's his name, to Kevin. I don't know. I feel like my opinions are truly unpopular this season. Like, I feel like Alex is not the mean girl y'all make her out to be. I think who y'all need to be pointing fingers at is Monica and Hannah. So yeah, that has been my review on Love is Blind part 1, and I will be back for the second part. Let me know in the comments below how you feel, especially about that Tim and Alex situation, because I feel like I'm one of the very few people who have this opinion. But let me know with all the things I have provided you with, okay, with all of the clues of him saying his mama said he needs somebody strong-willed, and how he likes to push back, and how Alex can take it and she can handle his bite and all of this, and just the comment about the yellow shirt. Let me know if you can see what I'm saying, or am I tripping? I could take anything for real, just like Tim said. So yeah, this has been fun. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.